Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Okay, so today we're diving into a pretty wild story. We're going to look at how a relatively small, simple religious community completely leveled up to become a massive global superpower. Seriously, an empire stretching all the way from Spain to India. It's the epic story of the Umayyad Caliphate. But think about this for a second. Imagine you're suddenly in charge of millions of totally different people, spread out across 3 entire continents. How do you actually rule half the known world? Well, it takes serious strategy, tight control, and, as we'll see, trying to avoid some major system glitches. So let's start with level 1, from simple to superpower. It's honestly amazing how these leaders changed their whole style. The earliest leaders, known as the Rashidun, lived super simply. They considered themselves just the first among equals, hanging out with everyday people, 0 bodyguards. But the Umayyad rulers? Oh, they completely rebranded into flashy kings. They sat on massive thrones, wore crowns, and even prayed inside a special VIP security box called a maksura, totally surrounded by armed guards. Quite the upgrade, right? Now, how exactly did they hold on to all this newfound power? They created a dynasty. If you're not entirely sure what a dynasty is, just think of it like inheriting a massive family business. But instead of inheriting a store, you're inheriting absolute political power. The founder, a guy named Muawiyah I, broke all the old traditions and just passed the leadership directly down to his son. Basically, he turned the entire caliphate into an exclusive family possession. Moving on to level 2, upgrading the empire. To keep a colossal empire running smoothly, they definitely needed some major updates. First off, they centralized the government, which basically means all the huge, important decisions came strictly from the top bosses in their capital. Second, they made Arabic the official language for all government business, period. And third, they ditched all the foreign money people were using and minted their very own shiny gold coins, called the Islamic dinar. Oh, and just like any modern government today, they set up special departments called diwans to handle the daily grind. They had a taxation department to track all that new money, a secretariat for writing up official laws, and, this is definitely the coolest part, the Bareed. It started as a super fast postal service, but honestly, it doubled as a secret spy network reporting directly back to the ruler. All right, here comes level 3, the big expansion. It is absolutely wild how fast these guys moved. In 670, they built a massive military base in North Africa. Then, boom, flash forward to 711, and General Tariq ibn Ziyad conquers Spain. And get this, in that exact same year, another commander pushes the borders all the way into India. In just a matter of decades, their armies literally swept from the edge of Europe deep into Asia. 100. That's the magic number here. In barely 100 years from its humble beginnings, this movement successfully built the absolute largest empire the entire world had ever seen up to that point. No small feat. But of course, we reach level 4, cracks in the system. As anyone who's played a strategy game knows, growing too fast usually causes some major bugs. Even though the religion promised total equality for everyone, the Umayyads started playing favorites big time. Pure-blooded Arab Muslims got to sit at the very top of society, like VIPs, paying fewer taxes. Meanwhile, non-Arab converts, who were called the Mawali, were treated way more like second-class citizens. They were unfairly forced to pay a heavy poll tax called the jizya, basically just to protect the ruler's wealth. Not cool. Naturally, this blatant unfairness angered a ton of people and created some really fierce rivals inside the empire. You had those non-Arab converts, the Mawali, demanding the equality they were originally promised. Then you had the Shiites, who strongly believed only the direct descendants of Ali should be ruling. And you also had groups like the Kharijites, who demanded absolute religious purity and viewed the Umayyads as total corrupt rule breakers. So yeah, a lot of tension. Which brings us to our final stage, level 5, the final crash. All that social tension and anger, it was a total recipe for disaster, and eventually the unfairness just boiled over. In 750 AD, a massive uprising called the Abbasid Revolution exploded. It acted like a complete system reset. The revolution totally overthrew the Umayyads in Syria and completely shifted the empire's center of power hundreds of miles away to Iraq. Game over for the Umayyad dynasty. Which leaves us with one really big final question to think about. What do you think is the absolute most important ingredient for actually keeping an empire together? The Umayyads proved for sure that having cool upgrades, strong armies, and loads of wealth can build an empire. But I'll leave you to wonder, is fairness the ultimate key to keeping it? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and remember, keep asking big questions.